The coffee hit his jacket before anyone understood what had happened. A dark stain bloomed across the old man's chest, steam rising faintly in the cool morning air of the corporate lobby. Conversations froze. The polished marble floors reflected the moment like a mirror, sharp, unforgiving, and the young manager standing in front of him didn't apologize. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you re-watching from. I love knowing who is listening. The lobby of Halbrook Industries was always busy at 8:45 a.m. Shoes clicked against stone, phones buzzed, assistants hurried past with tablets pressed to their chests. It was a place built on urgency and image. Daniel Reed understood that image well. At 32, he was one of the youngest regional managers in the company's history, ambitious, polished, impatient. He wore confidence like a tailored suit. That morning had already tested him. A delayed report, an investor call rescheduled, a presentation file that wouldn't load. When he stepped out of the elevator, balancing his coffee and reviewing notes on his phone, he collided with someone walking slowly across the lobby. The coffee spilled, gasps rippled through nearby employees. The elderly man steadied himself with surprising grace. His silver hair caught the light. His posture, though relaxed, carried quiet authority, but his clothes were simple, nothing that suggested status. Daniel's jaw tightened. "You should watch where you're going," he snapped, brushing droplets from his sleeve. The old man looked down at the spreading stain on his jacket, then back up at Daniel. His eyes were calm, observant. "I believe we both could have been more careful," he replied gently. The calmness irritated Daniel more than anger would have. He felt eyes on him, waiting, judging. Without thinking, he added sharply, "This is a professional environment. People move with purpose here." A few employees shifted uncomfortably. No one intervened. The old man studied him for a brief moment, not offended, not defensive, simply thoughtful. "I see," he said quietly. Security approached, unsure whether to step in. Daniel waved them off dismissively, grabbing a napkin from a nearby stand and offering it half-heartedly. "Next time," he muttered, "try not to wander into people's paths." Then he walked away. But something about the old man's gaze lingered. Upstairs, Daniel entered the executive boardroom for the quarterly strategy meeting. The long glass table gleamed under recessed lighting. Senior leaders were already seated. There was one empty chair at the head of the table. Daniel frowned. The CEO was rumored to attend today's meeting. Unexpectedly, no one had seen him yet. Minutes later, the door opened. The same old man stepped inside. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Daniel's stomach tightened. The silver-haired stranger walked calmly to the head of the table and took the empty seat. Assistants straightened. Board members nodded respectfully. "Good morning," he said warmly. "I'm Charles Halbrook." The name landed like thunder. Founder, majority shareholder, CEO. Daniel felt the blood drain from his face. The room's silence became suffocating. Charles folded his hands on the table, his stained jacket still marked from the coffee. "I had an interesting welcome this morning," he continued evenly. "It gave me insight before our meeting even began." Every eye shifted toward Daniel. Inside, Daniel's confidence fractured. He replayed the scene in his mind, the sharp tone, the dismissal, the arrogance. He had assumed authority based on appearance. He had mistaken simplicity for insignificance. Charles didn't raise his voice. He didn't humiliate him publicly. Instead, he began the meeting as scheduled, discussing company growth, leadership culture, and long-term vision. But his words carried weight. "A company's strength," Charles said at one point, "is reflected not in profits alone, but in how we treat people when we believe they have nothing to offer us." Daniel swallowed. The presentation moved forward. Data charts appeared. Market projections were reviewed. Yet Daniel barely heard them. His thoughts were loud enough. He had worked tirelessly to reach this position. Late nights, sacrificed weekends, constant pressure to outperform peers. Somewhere along the way, ambition had hardened into entitlement. When the meeting concluded, Charles addressed him directly. "Daniel, would you walk with me?" The hallway outside the boardroom felt longer than usual. "I've read your performance reports," Charles said calmly. "You're talented, driven." Daniel nodded, unable to meet his eyes. "But leadership," Charles continued, "is not proven when things go right. It's revealed in small, unexpected moments." Daniel felt the sting not of punishment, but of truth. "I'm sorry," he said finally. The words were quiet, stripped of pride. Charles studied him carefully. "Do you know why I sometimes enter this building unannounced?" Daniel shook his head. "To observe culture without titles influencing behavior." The lesson was clear. Charles could have terminated him on the spot, many CEOs would have. Instead, he chose something harder: accountability with opportunity. You'll attend our leadership development program starting next week, Charles said, not as punishment, as investment. Relief mixed with humility inside Daniel. Understood, sir. As Charles turned to leave, he paused. And Daniel? Yes. Coffee stains fade, character impressions take longer. That afternoon, whispers spread through the building. Some expected drama, others expected termination. Instead, they witnessed something subtler: a shift. Daniel began greeting staff differently. He listened more. He slowed down in hallways. He learned names he had previously overlooked. Growth wasn't instant. Pride doesn't dissolve overnight, but awareness had begun. Months later, during another quarterly meeting, Charles observed quietly as Daniel defended a junior employee who had made a minor mistake. It was an accident, Daniel said calmly. We'll correct it together. The words felt different this time because they were. True authority is not about who you can command, it's about who you choose to respect, and sometimes the greatest promotions are not in title but in character. In a lobby where coffee once stained fabric, humility had quietly reshaped a future. A bold universal truth: the way you treat people when you think they don't matter reveals who you truly are. Sometimes the smallest spills expose the biggest flaws and the greatest chances to grow. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below. And tell me, have you ever judged someone too quickly? Subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us what leadership really means.